where you felt like throwing in the towel and being like, I'm not going to keep trying at this acting thing?
Yeah, it was 3 months before I booked The Chosen.
Jonathan Roumie was on Lila Rose's podcast, and she asked him how he got started in The Chosen. And it might surprise you because he shares about how he surrendered his life to God. So let's get right into the video, and make sure to watch till the end because I have a Bible verse that will tie all of this together. Let's get right into it.
2 years out of college, I was working in production on a movie called Analyze This, directed by the late Harold Ramis. And I had just started doing voiceover. My first gigs were in 1998, and that was the year we were filming the movie. And he had heard that I was interested in acting, and he says, it takes 15 years to be an overnight success, or 20, depending on who you talk to. And I said, yeah, but that's for everybody else. I mean, he literally, to the year, it was exactly 20 years.
So was there a moment during those 8 years, kind of in the wilderness of LA, and you're doing some roles and you're working, where you felt like throwing in the towel and being like, I'm not going to keep trying at this acting thing?
Yeah, it was 3 months before I booked The Chosen. I basically came to a career crisis, a financial crisis. I was completely broke, and I was broken, spiritually and emotionally. And I was holding on to my faith, and I just didn't understand why God would lead me here, give me these, occasional successes, and foster this desire within my heart, give me the skills to clearly be able to do the work, but not have it lead to anything. And what I realized, and actually documented this process at the time, which you can actually see in a documentary I did called Jonathan and Jesus, which is also on Amazon. I got to the point where like I had to just get on my knees and just surrender my entire life and my career. And the thing that I hadn't done was surrender my career, because I was trying to manage the control of it. I was trying to check all the boxes, the things that I had to do to be a successful actor, and I was doing them, and I was juggling a bunch of different side jobs. And then all of a sudden those dried up. And next thing I know, I'm like out of food. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to buy food tomorrow. And I experienced, after I surrendered, hours later, a literal financial miracle that changed my life. It changed my concept of what it meant to surrender to God, to really trust God, to have faith, to activate my faith in a way that I never did before. And that changed everything.
Wow, what an amazing story of how surrendering to God can change everything. And guys, we try to do it on our own all the time. We try to make things happen with pure willpower. We think we're going to finally make it. And sometimes first you have to make sure and let God know it's not more important than him. The career, the dream that even God has given you, sometimes it has to die. You have to sacrifice this dream to God in order for it to resurrect.
And the minute I did that, said that surrender prayer, like the weight lifted. And then it was 3 or 4 hours later where I ended up getting 4 checks in the mail that came from all these disparate, companies, that some of which I hadn't worked in years. And there was like, oh, we forgot to pay you 5 years worth of residuals. Here's $800. And I went from a negative $80 in my bank account and thousands of dollars in debt that morning in May of 2018 to that afternoon having $1,100 in these checks. And I was like, I guess that's what I haven't done, is just completely trusted God that he would take care of me. And then 3 months later, I booked The Chosen. So
that's incredible.
My life's never been the same since.
When you were working as an actor, and before that as the voice actor in New York and then LA, what was your life like with God? Were you trying to be a practicing Christian? You mentioned
I wasn't trying to be a saint.
Okay.
Now I'm trying to be a saint.
Difference.
Everything is the difference. It's, what are your priorities in your life? How are you living your social life? Well, how do you feel about the issues of life? What do you measure? By what standards do you measure the quality and success of your life and the holiness of your life? I hadn't considered what it meant to be holy. I thought that was something that that wasn't attainable for somebody like me, you know. And then when I surrendered, that it wasn't just about my career. It began a series of, well, even prior to that, there began a series of steps in my personal life and my relationships where I'm like, I can't date the same way anymore. Like, these things haven't worked. Why haven't they worked? And here's why. And what I realized is that, like in my career, God wasn't first in my relationships. So it's like, well, I have faith, but if she doesn't, that's okay. I mean, live and let live, you know? And then I realized, like, no, I don't think it can work like that for me. When you're on this journey to get closer to God in every aspect and to achieve, you know, this level of holiness or this nearness to Christ, it has to fundamentally change how you live your life and how you see the world and how you think about people and relationships and all of those areas that are fundamental to the human experience. And the surrender moment, where I received these checks, was just a reinforcement of that. I have to give myself wholly and completely to God. There's no way around it. And it's pretty flippin' difficult at times, but that is the journey we are asked to do. It's never, I mean, a lot of people have the concept of the saint is somebody who lived the perfect life, and 9 times out of 10, it was the opposite of that. It's like they suffered and they had, you know, it's like, oh, a saint, like they had no problems and they were just perfect and pious. And like, no, like if you start reading about the saints, the Hallow app does this, is the Saints in 7 Days challenge, and I narrated this one for Saint Maximilian Kolbe, which is going on right now, which is kind of finishing up this week, and like some of the harrowing experiences that these people went through before, you know, usually martyrdom, were just enough to make you go like, well, if that guy's doing that, like I think I can come up a little bit in my life, you know. I mean, I'm not living in, you know, the middle of World War II Germany in a prison camp in Auschwitz, but, you know, like, what are my struggles and how can I offer my struggles to God, and how can I offer up myself, and how can I serve my fellow human more soulfully and intentionally.
That's so good. What an amazing testimony of God's grace and mercy and provision. Surrender in your life is not just saying, God, I surrender and give it all to you. But you saw how Jonathan completely changed how he even lived, how he even handled his relationships. Like if he was saying, I used to date girls who, you know, maybe they didn't have faith, but that's okay, you know, live and let live. But he's like, this is not working. How I'm living is not working. So I need to change that as well. And he said, and he changed his whole perspective on how he was going to live his life. Because you can't just say you follow Jesus and be like, I'm going to do whatever I want. You want to live like Jesus. Change your perspective. Ask God to renew the desires of your heart to be more like God. I have a Bible verse that will tie all of this together. Let's get into it. Genesis chapter 22 verse 8 says, God will provide a sheep for the burnt offering, my son, Abraham answered, and they both walked on together. When they arrived at the place where God had told them to go, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood on it. Then he tied his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood, and Abraham picked up the knife to kill his son as a sacrifice. At that moment, the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. Yes, Abraham replied, here I am. Don't lay a hand on the boy, the angel said. Do not hurt him in any way, for now I know that you truly fear God. You have not withheld from me even your son, your only son. Guys, what an amazing testimony. Is there anything in your life that you are withholding from God? Is there something that you are not surrendering over to God and willing to sacrifice it, even if it means your entire career, your life, for God? Because anything that you are putting before God is an idol. And this is always challenging for me. I need to make sure my heart is in a place where it's not putting things in front of God, before God. And we all need to do that. Just like Jonathan said, he had to surrender his life to God completely. Even if it means that you're not going to get your deepest desires or dreams. Well, anyway, guys, that's an amazing story. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. I would love to hear them. Please like this video and subscribe. And if you're new here, my name is Elijah Zilke, and I make videos about faith that engages the culture for Jesus. I love for you to come along this journey and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So shout out to all the people who've been following me for a long time now. Love and appreciate you all. And also, you might like this video here. Peace.